Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Heavenly Father's only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth according to the Bible and rule well. And thus shalom, not a sincere arguing throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth through diligence and sincerity and in charity, and thus shalom. To all you sincere followers, believers of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, not to the word, but doers as well, you men, women, and children, and hopefully elect shalom. Brother Kabah back with another GMS lesson. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. And, evils and only evils. Things are going to get worse. Food prices on the rise. And it's going to lead to, chaos. People kicking indoors for the lack of food and bread and water, things of that nature. And this article is going to go into things that's going on right now with the tariffs and food prices. But, the only solution is, turning back to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. So we're going to grab some scriptures and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying.
On to a different price story here. Your grocery store bill. It could be a little bit higher because of Trump's tariffs, where a long list of products could suddenly become much pricier. So food industry analyst and editor for the site supermarketguru.com, Phil Lempert, joining us now. Obviously, this is the million-dollar question. We really want specifics. How could this all change our grocery store baskets with all of these tariffs? Which items are on that list?
Sure, Jules. Well, keep in mind, it is going to change what we buy. There's no question about it. Prices are going to go up. So, for example, when we look at produce, and we import about $27 billion worth of fruit every year, $20 billion worth of vegetables every year, 2.7 billion bananas every year. So, when we look at these tariffs, and especially on bananas, because there are tariffs on Guatemala, Ecuador, Costa Rica, that's going to be more expensive, and in some cases, even shortages. If we look at apple juice, for example, 60% of all the apple juice that we consume here in the U.S. comes from China. We import about $18 billion worth of beverages every year. Now, when we look at wines from Italy, 2.5 billion, from France, 2.5 billion. Our number one beer here in the U.S. Actually is a Mexican beer, Modelo Especial. We import $5.6 billion of that. So while the numbers that we're hearing from the administration says, grocery prices might go up, 1.5% to 2%. On average, that's true. But when we look at these specific categories of imports, it's going to be a lot higher. We've got this tariff on Vietnam, where we import just so much of our shrimp from, 46%. That means the price of shrimp is going to go up probably at least 50%.
So I'm hearing produce, seafood, coffee, everything that we're showing on the screen right there. Now, President Trump has told American farmers to ramp up its production in response to the tariffs. So what do you say to that? Can we grow everything?
No, absolutely not. The people who are doing this tariff know nothing about the food industry. The food industry is global, and in fact, we used to grow a lot of our foods here. Keep in mind that about 99% of all the foods in the supermarket started in the ground. Even Twinkies have ingredients that started in the ground. So we've got to realize that because of climate change, we can't grow everything, whether it's in California, whether it's in Florida. We grow soybeans, wheat, and corn really well. But the other products that we want, not so much.
Okay, I didn't know that about Twinkies. Anyway, moving on. What is the advice to consumers? Do we stock up? Do we just wait and see? What's your advice?
I think we do stock up, but it depends on what the products are. So, for example, you don't want to stock up on produce because it has a short shelf life. But canned beer, for example, you could stock up on tequila. From Mexico, you can stock up on some of the wines. In fact, I was looking at some reports this morning that said wines could go up easily from the EU about 30%. Because keep in mind, it's not just the tariff, but what happens is the tariff gets passed on from the exporter to the distributor to the retailer. So everybody adds a little bit more to it. So when we hear this 10%, that could easily translate to 15 or 20%. Also, you're going to laugh, but toilet paper and paper towels, just the way we had during the pandemic, they could be at risk because we get a lot of our wood pulp from Canada.
All right, Phil Lempert, good advice. Food industry analyst and editor for the site.
There you go. All right, let's go to Book of Matthew. And try to bring out some scriptures. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall be these things, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world. Jumping down. Verse 6, And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars, and we are hearing those things now. All right. These tariffs that are being put, on America, on China, all these other countries, they're going to lead to war. All right. You got some experts saying that we're already in World War III, which I strongly believe. All right. It says, See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, because we gotta go through that time of the hour of temptation. All right, the MOTB written in Revelation 13, that no man can buy or sell save he that has the mark. All right, which is that implantable device, that charagma. All right. It says, verse 7, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. You seeing that happening now. And there should be famines. All right, this is what I wanted. And pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are beginning of sorrows. Now, famine is a lack of something. All right, and with these food prices going up, everything is trickling down to the consumer. And the consumer has to pay the increase. So whereas, you went to the grocery store and it's been like this for a while now, and things are only going to get worse. They're not, each and every day we get a day closer to things getting more worse than it was yesterday. All right. All these prices are on these foods are skyrocketing, man. And it's going to lead to looting. It's going to lead to kicking in the doors as it goes into, matter of fact, Second Ezra's. This is just a domino effect. And it's going to get out of the hands of the elites, because the elites are the one that's orchestrating this, all right, through Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. And the Lord's going to have it to where it gets out of their hands. 2 Ezra 15:1, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Jumping down. Okay. It says, Woe to the world, verse 14, and them that dwell therein. The point I want is in 19. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. All right. And what's the modern day sword? A gun. We have to always say it. People can deal without entertainment. People can deal without, different types of, fashion and all this madness and phones. What people cannot deal without is food and water. And that's what the Lord is getting ready to put the squeeze on. It says, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. All right, speech causing people to rebel against the higher ups. And you see this in movies when shit hits the fan. It says, and invading one another. Now, why would they be invading one another? Why would men be invading one another? Because that person has something that they want. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. What's the modern kings and princes? Your presidents, your governors, your mayors. It says, in the course of action shall stand in their power. Why? Because the police force is going to be pretty much non-existent. They're going to be trying to protect their family, their loved ones. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right, and one of the major reasons why this is happening because of the pride of Babylon. All right, the daughter of Babylon, aka America. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. And, it made me think about the book of Eli, when I think they had was it a ketchup pack? I believe it was, and he was telling the blonde, not a blonde chick, but the blonde chick's daughter, before they got to where they was at, before, all hell broke loose, that people was just wasting food, throwing things away, and now people are deleting each other over those things now. All right. And that's what we're getting ready to come into. People will drink half a water bottle and toss it out. All right. But people are going to be deleted for those half bottled waters, those ketchup packs and things of that nature. It's going to get really bad out here. I saw one video clip of one Walmart. They had the meat, the steak, caged up to where, you couldn't steal it or change the price on it. Anyways, it says, 2 Esdras 15:9, man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods, right? Which means to rob, to take, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. It's going to be a lot of trouble on the earth, man. Mainly here in America, once again. And so what if some don't believe? You don't have to believe. You can think we're crazy. You can think we're weirdos. You can think everything you want to think. But it's not going to stop prophecy. It's not going to stop what the will of the Lord has for this place, man. And he's going to torment it. All right? That's why it's very important to take heed to the words of Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and you will be well taken care of, man. Isaiah 65 says, therefore I will number you to the sword, verse 12, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, you did not answer, and the Lord is calling now. All right? When I spake, you did not hear, but did evil for my eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Because Jake is all about fulfilling the flesh. All right, doing their own will. And that led us to idol worshiping. That led us to doing all types of madness, transgressing the ways of the Lord. Verse 13, therefore thus said the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat. What does the servant do? Is he or she serves. All right, and if you're not serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushai their way, you can forget about being protected. You can forget about being fed. All right, and these latter days, you can forget about it. It says, Behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Right. And a great shame is coming upon 2/3 of our people in these latter days that forsake Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for their careers, for the things they wanted to do in life, how they wanted to do. All right. Verse 14, behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Now how heavy, how loud, all right, is that howl going to be? Because the only person, the only entity that could help you is forsaking you. You know? The Lord said, you have not forsaken me, but you have forsaken yourselves. Okay? So I just wanted to touch on that. You know, things are going to get worse. Evils and only evils is coming. A lack of food, bread, and water. All right. It's coming. Chaos, confusion is coming. Calamities is coming. But the servants of the Lord are going to eat. All right. Shalom.